From Florida's Space Coast, this is Your Career.
Welcome to Your Career. I'm Debbie Featherston, your host, and with me today are two co-owners. These gentlemen are partners of Right Coast Apparel, and with me is Brandon Rabine and Corey Huau.
Yes, ma'am.
Gentlemen, I am delighted to have you here, and I am delighted for this reason. You are here to share with us your story, your journey of what led you to entrepreneurship. And you're really early in your business venture, so I think this will be very interesting for our viewers. And I'd like you to just start off, whichever one of you wish, Brandon or Corey. Tell us a little bit about the journey that led to your co-ownership or your partnership with Right Coast Apparel.
I had a friend that actually worked at a screen printing company.
Okay.
I just remember how interesting it was to be able to make art on clothing. One day I was driving home. I was working in Orlando, Florida, driving back here to Satellite Beach. I would drive back and forth a lot. And I was talking to Corey. He was telling me how he wanted to start a business up. And I said, well, what are you thinking about doing? He said, I want to start this clothing company up. Corey and I grew up surfing together since we were in elementary school, fishing.
Wow, long history then. Okay.
Yeah, as for myself, like Brandon said, we grew up together since elementary school. Right now, I work as a fire paramedic for Brevard County Fire Rescue. And that job, it's a great job, one of the best jobs in the world. But you also have a little bit of time off where you can start another job, another career. And I was sitting around the fire station one day and I said to myself, I have 2 kids and a wife, I have this family, and I want to provide more for them, be a little more comfortable in life. And I said, I start this clothing company. And I started thinking of names and researching on the internet, and I came up with Right Coast Apparel. And Brandon and I were talking, like he said. He came over, we met up, we were talking about it. And shortly after that, he gave me a call back and said, hey, I want to do this with you, it sounds awesome. And pretty much targets everything that we, all the areas of interest in our life growing up, outdoor water activities, boating, fishing, surfing, all the things we like and we know a lot of people in this area enjoy. So basically, to me, it was to provide a better future for my family, and also our friendship could grow even more, and we could build this company together.
Yeah.
So something to do to create a lifestyle.
Absolutely. And to take control over your destiny. I mean, truly, right? And the income that you can generate, because we have 40-hour-week jobs, we're really working for the man, if you will, right?
Correct.
And so we have less autonomy there.
That's correct.
I'm just really curious, what was the inspiration, Corey, behind clothing apparel?
It's just something that I thought would be really fun. Like Brandon, he's not the greatest artist. I can't draw at all. But I can think of it up in my head, and I can come up with these ideas, and then I just thought, how cool would it be to see your ideas, your stuff walking around our community, which we're starting to see, and it's really neat. I've been at the store shopping, and I'll see somebody walk by, or I've been at the beach, things like that, and just to have that visual of something you've created to walk by you is,
and we saw a need for it too. There was a need for a different type of clothing brand, and that actually was less than just a logo or just a name on a shirt. We want to try and strive for something more creative, a little more artistic, something that when you looked at it, you said, oh wow, that's a great design. I could really see myself wearing that.
Yeah.
And then something that connected to our audience.
Interesting. Well, entrepreneurship is definitely not for the faint of heart. Right. You've probably figured that out with both of you having families, full-time jobs, other commitments that are going on, right? So how did you really decide? What was that thought process that helped you to decide if entrepreneurship was really right for you? Well,
for me, growing up, take it back to my father. He has been a very successful entrepreneur his whole life. I remember him taking a lot of time out of his life to build a successful career, and I watched him do it. But at the same time, he would make time for myself and my sister and the family. So I have the fire department job, but I also wanted to become an entrepreneur, kind of like my dad was, and build something and just watch it grow and be able to provide for my family. That's what got me going.
Cool. So your father really was a model for you, a role model for
Correct.
you in this case, Corey.
I always felt you can work hard and be successful. You can be working hard and making other people money, or you can be working hard and providing for your family. It's also want to be a social responsible company and be able to give back to your community.
Yeah, that's huge.
One of the things I found out a long time ago, if you want to make a difference in your community, well, you do need to have the money and the effort and the time to be able to do that.
Right.
So the best way that we can give back to our friends in need, people that have illnesses, is to be really more social responsible within our business plan, to be able to make that money and be able to give back to these causes. And that was a really big motivating drive for me and Corey, especially with a family that's had skin cancer. We try and do a lot of skin cancer charities and help for patient care. And really, those people that are trying to raise money for a cause, we do a lot of events to help promote them.
Right.
And at the same time, that also helps to create a lifestyle for ourselves.
And I saw on your website that you actually donate a percentage of your revenues to like skin cancer and a couple other causes. I thought I saw that
That's
that on your
correct.
website.
We do that, and we also, it's not limited to skin cancer. We've gone to veterans events. Myself, I'm a veteran. I did 4 years in the United States Coast
Thank you for
Guard.
your service.
Yes, ma'am. So we're not just, we realize that what our product focuses on is everything out in the sun. So skin cancer is a huge thing. And I remember growing up, my mother would always say, put your sunblock on, put your sunblock on. And you know, I probably should have listened to her a lot more than I did, but we want to get that out there, you know, that people see, oh, we're out in the sun all the time, wear your sunscreen.
Right.
It's really worth it. And like I said, we do the veterans events, we've done an autism event, we've helped a local girl out in our community that, what was she, 13 years old? 13 years old, already been diagnosed with skin cancer. Whether
Wow.
we're going to these charity events and donating our product to be raffled off, some way or another, we're making a difference in helping these people out. And at the same time, we're hoping that inspires young entrepreneurs to do things like that along the way. Because you got to realize, even though you're doing this for your family and your friends, you got to help other people out along the way to make the goal attainable.
Giving back
world.
to your community is what I hear you keep saying.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the underlying message here. Is you want to, while you're growing and you're gaining some success, right? Early in this entrepreneurial venture, you're still very mindful of how you can give back immediately. So
You want to make
thank you
money.
for that.
You
Yeah,
want
absolutely.
to
Ultimately.
You want to provide a lifestyle, but you also want to be able to give back to the world.
Right.
Can't be selfish the whole time. You got to,
That's part of good leadership.
correct.
You know, period, is that social responsibility and giving to your community. So I applaud you both. I mean, let's move forward just a little bit because I'm curious, what have you learned at this point, up to this point, about what are the most critical steps for being successful, you know, creating that roadmap to success?
To diligently map out what you stand for, and also those processes to get to that next step. A lot of people want to quickly sprint and run to their goal. And it's not a sprint, it's definitely a marathon, as they say. You definitely want to be able to get out of the gate. You want to research. You want to make a business plan, make a mission statement, what you stand for.
Your core values and all that.
Core values. And you definitely want to see what your competition is out there.
You got to find that balance of, okay, we want to do this and we want to get to a certain point, but we don't want to run too far and get too deep and not be able to recuperate from that. So you want to just kind of take your time. We're not one of these mega companies that can just do all this stuff. We're building ourselves, and we're proud of that, and that's why we started this. We wanted to build from nothing and become a great company and help people out. And so you got to kind of find that balance of, all right, we're moving along, and don't jet out too far to where you get yourself in trouble.
Yeah. So some of the critical steps that I heard you mention are putting a business plan together. First of all, what's your mission? right? What your mission,
Correct.
imagine what your product is, what your core values of the organization are, what's your business plan, so you have a sense of where you're going, and so you're financially or fiscally responsible.
It's something that you can look at to guide you on your way because, months, a year will go by.
Yeah.
You have to have something to look back at and say, this is what we're doing this for. This is who we are. You will evolve as a company.
You're right.
And new things will start transpiring. But you definitely want to take it step by step. And if you're going to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll learn from that mistake. But you don't want to make the huge pitfall, blunders.
Yeah.
And being a small company, you don't have that luxury to be able to make these big blunders.
Right.
Especially when it comes in our business, where our brand and our image is very important to us. You want to make sure that you're researching your competition and making sure you're not infringing on their brand or their slogans.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be scared to be who you are as well.
Yeah. Well, let's dig a little deeper about that, because I'd like to help the viewers who might be interested in starting a business that maybe have never looked at this to get a sense of what some of those steps are that you took. So how would you describe the general process or steps that you took that from, hey, I've got this business concept, right, Corey,
Right.
to we're launching.
Well-
We've got product, we're out the door, we're launching.
And that's what we did. We were sitting down at night when we had the free time. We said, we got to do this the correct way. There's some companies that'll just jump into things and they can't fix it. You got to, for instance, we got all the documents. You go to the state, whatever certifications you need to have a business with the cities, the counties, anything like that.
So you got all your licensing with the counties, the state. You got your name, right?
Yep. Got working on the trademark with the name. All those
Trademarks.
things need to be put in
Before we
Branding,
told anybody what we were
logos.
doing.
Yeah,
Before we
so-
told anybody what we were doing.
Yeah.
And as much as you want to tell people, hey, I'm starting up a company.
You have a small trust circle you got to
That's
keep
absolutely. Keep it quiet.
it with. Right?
So we tried to discredit our company before we took full ownership of it. We wanted to try and figure out, what else could this company be? And when it came down to it, we couldn't think of anything else that our company could be as far as our name, our image, what we are going to be producing. And once we couldn't think of anything else other than what we had already kind of thought about.
So once you got that name, Right Coast Apparel, and you settled on a brand, logo or so forth, then you were ready to begin to talk about, okay, we have a general idea of what kind of product, but
Right.
now you had to really look at what?
And
Maybe
then
how to differentiate your product, how to
we want
market
to
it.
see, should we be an LLC, a
Okay.
corporation, a
Partnership.
general
Okay.
partnership? We found that a general partnership in our early stages was very important.
Yeah.
We didn't need to start up an LLC at first. We will be getting to that point where we will incorporate. But for where we're at, being in business a year now,
Yeah.
it was really better for our taxes.
Yeah,
It was really better
absolutely.
for getting started on a budget. We didn't have, thousands and thousands of dollars to start this.
Yeah.
With the money that we started with, we have definitely quadrupled what we started with. We've actually been able to grow our company significantly, and that's
Yeah.
been very nice.
Yeah, that's great. So I hear you say you looked beyond the marketing and some of the other things that we talked about. You've looked at the legal structure. I bet you've looked at your accounting. Got a
Oh,
bank
yeah.
account. You've got an accountant.
Our QuickBooks,
Your
our point of
QuickBooks,
sale.
yeah.
Sure
you've
you have
got-
everything to keep your inventory very
Yeah,
straight down the line. That's one of the most
some kind of
difficult
inventory
things.
management system.
Management system, correct. Inventory is one of the hardest things to keep the track of, and it's very important because you don't want someone to order something online, say, and then you go and look, and we're out of something like so. That
Yeah.
things like that, we were said, well, we got to have this in place for our inventory to be run smoothly.
And we didn't want anyone to steal our ideas either, so trademarking
Sure.
was important, and getting that process moving.
Nice business plan stamped out.
Excellent. And do you have a business coach? Do you use a business coach? I mean, how
We
are you
do,
continuing
we do.
to grow? I mean, these are things that you did in the early
That's
stages.
very important. When you are starting a business, I mean, I have a finance degree. I have been in businesses before. However, you can't think that you know it all.
Yeah.
We work with Wild Manta out of Palm Bay, Florida.
Okay.
with a gentleman named Tim Reynolds. He has a fantastic team. They've really helped us kind of help us with our timeline of events, help us get a little more organized, give it really there for when we have questions that we can bounce these questions off of him and his team and get that information to kind of help, feel more secure on our next move.
They're great mentors that, like Brandon said, they'll say, yeah, you should probably do this and stay away from doing these kind of things. Just general things, that help your business grow. They're very important to the staff is great. They've helped us out immensely. So
also the people that are helping us with printing our shirts or
friends in the industry that we've
friends in the industry.
We grew up mainly in the surfing industry, so we know some people that have, gotten jobs in that industry in our area, and they've given us great pointers and told us things to do. And go this way, don't go that way. So all that stuff has been very successful, for us to become a great company. And for anybody out there that's thinking about doing something like this, that's huge. You want a mentor. You can think you can do it all by yourself, but when it comes down to it, you need people to help you out. People that have done things like this, because it's just going to make you that much better and make it a smoother journey.
Teamwork is dream work.
That's right.
Keeping good people around you and asking for information. You have to definitely put yourself out there.
Right.
You got to be able to take constructive criticism. That's a big thing too. Brandon and I are very good at that. We can say, nah, I just don't think that's going to work. And he'll say, well, why not? I think it's great. And then we'll come to a conclusion to where we can make it work together and very cohesive. So we work together like that, very good. And you got to have that balance. You got to be able to take the criticism, the good with the bad, and just put it out there. And
Yeah, the other part of what I'm hearing you say, Corey, is that you really have to be open to feedback. You can't really be you can't be clinging on to, I have the right idea and this is the best way to go, because you can get into trouble, right? Because you don't know what you don't know, you don't have that experience. You might be book smart, if you will, about it, but
very open-minded in this field.
Yeah.
Clothing business is very competitive. And I mean, if you don't take everything with a grain of salt, you're not going to get anywhere. You gotta be very open-minded, and just be able to take that criticism and turn it into what the best thing for the customer is, and for yourself and for your company, and all that comes together, and it's awesome.
So what's really surprised you most about this journey? Anything that's really jumps out that surprises you most about?
Just keeping up on your daily task that you need to do in order to be successful. You can't just have a great idea and just sit there on the couch and hope that it's going to work.
Yeah.
Between having a full-time job and having families, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
So I feel like what's really surprised us is to be able to, balance family and work and keep the things moving and still have time to be able to do all that in a 24-hour day.
Just 24 hours, right?
Right.
You wish you had
Unless there's some more, Debbie, that there's some more hours out there that I don't know about.
We haven't found them.
Maybe somewhere in the world.
It's definitely surprised me how much time it takes to build this. It was just a thought off the top of my head, and when I came to Brandon, and then we were just, as it's been going, we're like, man, this so much time to put into something, to build it, to make it.
But we are realistic about our timeline.
Yeah, we're taking our time. We're utilizing that time very wisely, and like we said before, we're not going too far ahead of ourselves to where we can't recuperate.
Well, it sounds like you're really being very intentional in every single step that you take. You're being wise by seeking counsel of someone that has lived it and been successful in business multiple times. You've got the practical experience yourselves that you bring to this equation, which is fantastic, because I know some entrepreneurs don't have that.
You do need to jump. You can't just sit there.
Leap of faith?
Yes, you have to jump. Because if you're just standing there at the edge wondering if you should jump or not, who knows how long you're going to stand there, and you may miss an opportunity.
Don't jump too far, but you definitely get to that point where you're on the edge of that diving board. You say, let's do it, let's go in. You got to take that next step, whether it's getting more finances in line or whatever you have to do to make it happen. There is a point where you say, well, if I want this to go, we gotta jump.
Yeah. Give our viewers an idea of some of the sacrifices or considerations that you really had to take into account to make this baby roll, you know, to be successful
Well,
with
Corey
it.
and I, we love to surf. We love to fish. I like to play golf. I love to spend time with my family. And all that is a sacrifice.
Yeah.
I haven't been fishing in I don't know how long now. That is the goal, though. I mean, with any beginning business stages, you know, you're going to be able to go do your fun things every once in a while. But you also need to know what's important. And that's been a sacrifice for, I know, most, for me at least.
Yeah.
Yep, family time, you definitely have to sacrifice that. We go to these shows, festivals. We've gone to the west coast of Florida. And at first there it was, you know, every other weekend it seemed like, and the families are like, oh, you guys are doing this all the time. But at the end of the day, they realize for us to be a successful company, that's what we got to do. We got to sacrifice. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is putting the family, I wouldn't say to the side, but say, hey, we got to do this to build this company. And in the long run, it's going to benefit all of us.
And that's the goal.
Him and I, our families, everyone.
Yeah. So the trade-off here is on the short term, you're compromising the fun things that you do for enjoyment, and probably the thing that creates the most angst for you would be the loss of time with the family, because you can't get that back.
And
you
this
know, if
is
you're missing things.
having your own business. It can be very fun.
Yeah.
It's something that, I mean, you'll wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning with a smile on your face and ready to go take on your day.
Yeah.
However, it is still a job and it still is work. But the whole goal of it is to create something that's yours so that you will have time to be able to enjoy the fruit of your labor.
Right.
Yeah, it's got to be fun. If we wouldn't be doing this still if it wasn't. If it's not fun to you anymore, then you're not doing something right.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense to me. So what challenges have you faced as you've been now in this stage of really growing the business? Because I think you said you quadrupled the business from the start.
Correct.
So challenges?
Just the process, like for us being an apparel company, inventory, storage, you know, point of sale systems, really stepping outside the box from what we have, you know, backgrounds in.
Yeah.
Also networking, that's a big challenge. When we got into this, I mean, everybody's aware of Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, but we use that for recreation. Now we've learned that those are big tools for business. And to get that network going, that was a huge challenge, but we've had people that have, you know, you'll get messages, hey, you should do this, you should try this. I mean, you can look everything up on the internet too, but it's very tough to get that networking going initially. Once it gets going, it starts
It really
rolling.
starts steamrolling.
It starts rolling, and it's helped us out a lot. The social media, those are huge things for anybody that's wanting to start something. Social media can be your friend, for sure.
Yeah. So I noticed that you have a website, as I mentioned earlier, for the site. So how soon did you put that together? When I'm just thinking about the marketing aspect to really grow the business, because as you're talking about social media.
That was one of the first things that we had. As we rolled out, we weren't an official business until we had our website.
Right.
Corey and I did that on our own. You know, it was fun learning a new process and something new.
I've never done anything like that before with web design or anything like that. So it can be done.
Yeah.
You can do it yourself. There's other options. You know, you can pay a lot of extra money and get the super duper website, but there's also a lot, you can build a great quality website on your own. It takes time. And there's ways to learn. There's tools to learn how to build it. But
Google can help with anything.
Google and YouTube are two great tools.
Yeah. Now, the other part of, I think, beyond just increasing the visibility is the pricing aspect, because as you mentioned, you've got a lot of competitors out there. So how did you go about, what was the thought process that went into differentiating your clothing products to others that you saw in the
Our
market?
price of our products is actually a little bit less than our competitors. We thought we were happy with how much we're making. It covered our costs. It allowed us to grow our company and allow us to make a profit. Most companies in your first year aren't really making much of a profit.
If at all.
If anything at all, correct.
So but we're very, frugal with where we spend our money. We do a lot of our own work, like from whether it's our website, you know, whether it's learning new processes. We know where to also allocate our money, like we're with catalogs and, you know, what we actually need. So we do keep ourselves on a budget.
So, because you mentioned before the show kicked off that you are right now in the process of putting a catalog together. So that's another phase of the marketing, I take it?
Correct. Yeah, we're getting a full color catalog put together right now, and we're very confident that it's going to help our business grow even more. We can start approaching retail and put these things out, drop them off, give them, it's just another tool for us to promote our product. And
Increase people's awareness of the products
Right.
that you
Correct.
have available. So are you thinking about a distribution network along the same line? Instead of just coming, do you be the only point of sale? Are you trying to get it into maybe stores or as a
yes.
product line?
That
I mean,
all
is it
comes within your networking.
thinking long term here.
So
Right.
when it comes to what we've started off with a branding mission.
Yeah.
We sell within our networks within Facebook.
Yeah.
Our events, we go statewide to different events that have to
Perfect.
do with what our theme is, nautical, coastal apparel. We've built a real nice base of customers.
Yeah.
Our next goal is to get into some bigger box retailers.
Good.
And it comes with a plan. Everyone's been saying to us from the very beginning, what store are you in? Where are you at? Because
Where's your shop?
they see
Yeah.
Where's your store?
they see our brand, and they feel very, very connected to the brand. But we know, like, it's the whole thing, you want to crawl before you walk, and
Yeah.
walk before you run.
Absolutely.
So we have a timeline of events, and everything has been meshing up really well to get into these box retailers and our contacts that we've been speaking with.
Great advice that you're giving to our viewers, and that's going to have to be the final word on this. And I really thank you all for being here.
Debbie, we appreciate you.
Oh, it's
Thank
my
you very
pleasure.
much.
My
It's been a
pleasure.
pleasure.
On behalf of my guests and everyone here on the set of Your Career, thank you for watching. And remember, be career happy.
More information about this program is available online at millermediagroup.org.